podcast. The Heidelcast.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe.
Scott McDermott.
I was bit by a black widow in Hamul in my sleep.
Harrison Perkins.
Every muscle in my body is clenching right now.
And
Scott Clark.
You know, I would like to get to know a tarantula.
their mission to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Super Friends.
Good morning, Vietnam!
We'll do it live. No. We'll do it live.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
I wish I had a lair.
Oh, very nice. They're both holding up their
Heidelverse.
Heidelcast mugs. So
Heidel Planet.
Heidelverse mugs. You know, I should have changed that one. I made a list this morning of office drops that I have used and the ones that I haven't used. And that was on the used list. So I'm sorry.
It's okay. I watch the reruns too.
Why are you the way that you are?
Good morning, man.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. What's new? Did you watch the game last night? So as we are recording, the college football playoff national championship game was last night. That tells you, listener, when we are recording this. Did you watch the game?
Just some highlights.
I was reading about Genesis 39 and Ephesians 2:17.
Oh, very good. So grace over nature. I spent last night watching the game. I enjoyed it very much. It was a lot of fun. Nebraska has a long history with Miami, playing national championship games in Miami, with Miami, against Miami. So I was having some flashbacks to when we were good. In fact, Indiana looks a lot like Nebraska used to look. And man, Mendoza is amazing. That dive over the goal line in the fourth quarter was just outstanding. And as were a number of third down passes that were on the money, back shoulder, third down passes. Of course, his receivers helped him out quite a bit. So it's very impressive. To do what they've done is, I mean, it's mind-boggling to go from where Indiana was before Cignetti to the playoffs in the first year and national champions the second year. It's extraordinary. I now think that Nebraska has made a terrible mistake, that we should have hired somebody from Saban's coaching tree. So last night, both the coaches in the national championship game were on Saban's coaching tree. They were on the same staff at the same time. So I know you're an Auburn guy.
I don't even know if I'm an Auburn guy anymore. I'm just not an Alabama.
I know, and everybody refers to, or lots of people refer to him as Coach Satan. David Hall wrote a piece for us on using the phrase, Coach Satan. And it was one of the most popular pieces that we ran last year.
I actually thought that was a typo.
No.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on with the stats on that.
I was going to text you and say, I think you did this wrong. But then I realized, you know what? That might be a joke.
It is a joke.
The thing is, I don't know what's wrong with me because I've let go of most of college football stuff. And life is so much less stressful because I get way too invested. And yet the reflex is still there that, I hear about the people I'm supposed to dislike. And there it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Barry Switzer were still around, although I think I've more or less gotten over my animus for Barry.
Who are you thinking of on Saban's coaching tree?
Cignetti was on Saban's staff, and so was Cristobal, and they were on at the same time.
Anyone else?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of guys. What's his name at Georgia is on Saban's coaching tree.
Smart, Kirby, Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, briefly, until he got fired.
Everything he learned from Saban.
This sounds like a weird tree.
So, well, his dad, Monty Kiffin, is a coaching legend.
Yeah.
And coached in Nebraska.
He invented the funnel defense.
Have I shared with you guys, this is on point to a degree. Have I shared with you guys the news article headline that I read every time I'm having a bad day?
No.
No, what is it?
Okay, I keep this link open as a tab on my phone.
Oh, interesting.
Here's the headline. The headline.
Yeah.
Monkey of pole dancer girlfriend of ex-Alabama assistant coach allegedly bites child at Halloween party.
I did see that headline. I didn't read the story because I thought the headline more or less tells everything I need to know.
You know what happened.
That headline could have been written by a Puritan in the 17th century. Were there such things?
It's a wild story. And yeah, people were definitely doing things they should not be. And it's more the compounding factor of all those things that I think, you know what?
Exactly.
At least my day wasn't that day.
Yes. You were not at one of those places, and you didn't get bit by.
And I wasn't the guy who owned a monkey or had an inappropriate girlfriend who had a monkey who bit someone.
I had a classics teacher who dated one of those gals. It was pretty extraordinary.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Headline about an Alabama assistant coach.
Good, that's good.
I heard it, but I couldn't follow it.
I watch a lot of Instagram
Red pandas.
videos sometimes. Yes, red pandas, but also people, who are friends with gorillas and friends with monkeys and things. And I always think about the monkey who attacked
chimp.
a woman and tore her face off. It was terrible. He didn't like her, and he did terrible damage. Because I've sometimes thought it would be a lot of fun to have a chimp as a pet, but then maybe not. So I don't know. I'm impressed, too, by these people who've trained their dogs and cats to use the toilet, literally the toilet. I think that's impressive, especially when it's raining out and the dog wants to go out. I look at her and I say, how come you can't do that? Anyway, hey, as we're speaking, the Westminster Seminary Conference is coming up. And now, not as we're recording, not as people are hearing.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Are you talking about Fanny Crosby?
No.
I thought we were talking about Fanny Crosby's famous hymn.
Yeah, you are.
What's the conference called?
I should know that.
I think it might be called.
I think
I know
he just
the
gave it to
Blessed
you.
assurance, Jesus is mine.
Is it? Okay. All I know is it's at wscal.edu/conference. That's where I go to find out what I'm supposed to do.
Any good speakers?
Yeah, several. And then there I am. Lots of good speakers and Clark.
I'm excited. It's been a while since you've been on the roster for that.
It has. I helped put together the first conference in 2004, I think. And it was my idea, actually, truth be told. Now it can be told. News flash. Archaeological investigation reveals the origins of the Westminster Seminary Faculty Conference. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, very good. Yeah, there's the conference booklet. They sent you one, or?
Oh, no, they would never send me one.
Okay, I don't know if that was was that a screen
Yeah, that
or
was
was
just
that
a screenshot.
a printed thing? Okay. Hey, you ready for more news? Harrison Perkins has a new book, and it's in print. And
I
he has
have copies. You can't have copies yet.
Yes.
3 more months.
Yeah, but author copies have been sent. Tell us the title of this new book.
Take and Eat, Recovering the Regular Celebration of the Lord's Supper.
And who published it?
B&H Academic, the publishing house of the SBC.
Yeah, very good. That's great. So lots of people will read it then. Because there are something like 13 million people in the SBC, which stands for the Southern Baptist Convention, which is not technically a denomination, but an amalgamation of about 13 million people.
Convention.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Can you say the title again?
Take and Eat, Recovering the Regular Celebration of the Lord's Supper.
Very good.
What's regular to you?
Weekly.
What about twice weekly?
Yeah, that'd be great too.
2 times is included in every week. So
Is that too much? Is that too often? Too frequent?
no, I don't know.
I don't think so. Calvin didn't think so.
Okay, good.
No, for what it's worth.
I just don't want to come under discipline.
No. So congratulations on the appearance, the actual physical appearance of Take and Eat.
Thank you.
You can order now on Amazon, and when they release it, it will come to your house.
And if you come to the Great Lakes Reformed Conference on March 21st at Oakland Hills Community Church, we are doing an early release event.
Oh, nice.
So It'll come in mid-April if you order it on Amazon, or you can get it on March 21st if you come attend our conference. If you buy it.
And tell us again about the conference. Tell us the dates.
March 21st, 2026 at Oakland Hills Community Church in Farmington Hills, Michigan. And John Fesco will be speaking on wisdom, Christian wisdom.
And how can people find out more information about this conference and register and all that stuff?
They can go to ohcc.net, the church's website, and there is a link up at the top that says GLRC 2026. Click right on that, and it'll let you register. You can even go to ohcc.net/GLRC 2026.
And since we're talking about this sort of thing, it occurs to me I should say something about the conference at which I am speaking in Phoenix in February. And here it is. Yeah, the title is Confessing the Faith. And I'm looking for, oh, here it is. Phoenix, Arizona, February 21st. And the title is Confessing the Faith. And it's put on by an organization named Project Geneva. It's their 2026 convention, and you can find out more information at projectgeneva.org. Scott Swain is speaking, and Ryan McGraw is speaking. And strangely, for reasons yet to be explained, I am speaking February 21st, Saturday, I believe it is, in Phoenix. I don't have a location, but you can get all the info at projectgeneva.org. I'm just going to go wherever the map app tells me to go. All right. McScottrick, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little pressed for time to get everything done, but...
Well, I really like the Heidel vid. That was great.
Oh, good.
I enjoyed it.
I've got a lot of feedback on that, mostly from my family and some friends who have strong suggestions about what I should and shouldn't be doing.
Really? I just thought it was great because it was you. There was no editing. Yeah. It was just you sitting there talking. It kind of reminded me of being in a classroom, but even less formal.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was good about it.
Yeah, that was kind of the intent, was to do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. But I am told in no uncertain terms by my one of the Heidel children tells me that I am sitting in the wrong chair, sitting the wrong way. It makes it look like I'm fat, she says. So the camera's in the wrong place, and the way I sit. She says, Dad, you're not fat, but the way you sit, the way you're sitting, it makes you look fat. It's not flattering. You need to sit differently. You need to sit in a different chair. So for number 3, Heidel video number 3, I'm going to try sitting at a desk like Eric Erickson does and the way Walter Cronkite, CBS News, used to do. I
thought you were too skinny. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. And I was thinking, boy, it's a good thing he's sitting in this chair and not at a desk because he looks
exactly
skinny.
I'm supposed to sit at a desk and lean forward slightly. So
I think that'll take away the informality of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I think.
Or maybe just put the camera a bit higher if possible.
Yeah, we'll do that too.
I didn't judge you for your appearance. I just enjoyed it.
Thank you. Well, and the feedback was very positive. So I expected to get roasted in the comments, but I didn't. So at least not so far. We'll see.
It was good. The only thing that I did laugh almost the whole time because your disdain for doing it was clear.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I hate you and you made me.
Well, there was some of that at the beginning. I sort of, resented a little bit, the fact that people have to see me. Why do you have to see me? Why can't you just listen? It's the same stuff I do on the Heidelcast, but it only counts just apparently for some people, if they can see me.
It's a visual culture.
It is, and that frustrates me because I love, the medium of radio, podcasting. It's great. Why do you need to see me? Just listen.
Yeah, it's two different things, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both and. Everybody who loves the podcast and loves what you talked about, right? I love growing up sitting in bed. I love the theater of it and just listening to radio because I'm the same way. I used to listen to a lot of radio when I was a kid, and so I like the theater of it. However, there are times when I want to see you sitting in a chair with your hat on in a funny way, just being yourself. and making fun of John Cleese for being not very intelligent. And I love the dig. Oh, you probably don't pick up on that in a once a year lectionary reading. That was hilarious. That was the funniest. He's never been that funny. That was such a dig.
Well, John Cleese he's very, very funny. He just doesn't know very much about the New Testament. He hasn't actually read it very closely.
How are you going to know if you only hear a once a year lectionary reading?
Yeah. Exactly.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, in assuming he actually goes, which.
But if he does, it's once a year.
Yeah. So
maybe the most unintelligent statement anyone's ever put on, where was it from? Twitter? X?
Yeah, it was on Twitter.
I'm not willing to say that.
Well, I don't read Twitter, so I just he sounded really not smart.
You're not missing anything. Well, yeah, he's speaking out of a particular context, and he's repeating things that certain people who are regarded as smart think that all smart people know, and that is Jesus is just basically a moral teacher, and you people are immoral, so clearly your life and teaching doesn't correspond to Jesus' life and teaching, which the speaker, the all-knowing speaker, whom we're supposed to regard as smart, assumes that he understands when he hasn't ever actually done the very, very hard work of getting to grips with what Jesus actually said, which is maybe the most difficult thing a Christian will ever do, I think, is grappling with Jesus, because he is consistently and regularly and intentionally difficult. Yeah, so we'll keep doing that. Heidel Video is the series, and it's at heidelblog.net/Heidel Video. And you just have to go to the Heidel blog, and now there's a logo there. You can just click on the Heidel Video logo, or better, subscribe to the Heidel blog, and you won't miss out on anything. And you can also get it at YouTube, or on YouTube at Heidelcast. So there you go. Heidel Video is out.
Yeah, it's great. All right. And one other thing, actually two other things. My daughter, Thea.
Yes.
We're having a little issue with her because she just keeps getting cuter and cuter. She's too cute. And it's hard. It's the cutest baby I've ever seen. And she was wearing a Heidelcast shirt yesterday, and I totally forgot to take a picture. So I forgot about that. But I did want to say I'm very happy with the product. And just in case anybody else wants to pick up a Heidelcast onesie for their beautiful baby, where can they find that?
heidelblog.net/SHOP.
Okay. Thank you.
The Heidel shop.
And then one correction from earlier.
Yeah.
The funnel defense is one aspect of the Tampa 2.
Oh.
It's not a one-for-one. It's just one aspect of it. So I misspoke.
Very good. Okay.
But yes, Monty Kiffin, legend.
Yeah. Well.
All right, I'm done for the episode. You guys take over.
Lane was born in Lincoln when Monty was coaching here, but he didn't stay here long enough to imbibe the helpful ethos of the Plains, or the ethos of helpfulness.
Yeah, he comes off as someone who's not actually from anywhere.
Yeah.
Just from everywhere.
Yeah, he kind of isn't. He's kind of rootless and ruthless. Maybe they're all ruthless and rootless, but he's pretty obviously such. He doesn't bother to try to hide it at all. And
there's no facade. Yeah.
No.
I appreciate that from a coach. Speaking of coach, one last thing.
Yes,
then we'll be done.
Coach.
This is not coming out until after the Super Bowl. And so everybody knows that the Bills, once again, did not make the Super Bowl. However, Sean McDermott should not have been fired.
Oh.
Three of the best coaches in the NFL, like ever, Tomlin, Harbaugh, and McDermott. McDermott hasn't won a Super Bowl, but he's a great coach. Or fired or let go just in the last couple weeks. Never saw anything like this before. Comments, thoughts, Harrison, Doctor?
I don't keep up with commercialized breaking of the Lord's Day.
Neither do I. I watch it all on Monday.
Yeah.
So you watch a recording of them?
No, I just watched a highlight or the news. I saw the news.
I'm not changing my position.
I only follow it to the degree that it shows up in my sports podcasts.
I forgot you guys hate the NFL. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. But Tomlin, I mean, he's well regarded, and he's been traditionally a great coach and very successful. So it just seems very strange that he's not with Pittsburgh anymore. They'll regret that, I think.
Well, same with Harbaugh.
Well, yeah.
They were both there for 2 decades, and McDermott was in Buffalo for a decade.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like somebody's going to go to Buffalo and be more successful, it seems.
That is correct.
So, I mean, we see this in college all the time, that people get to have an inflated sense of who they are, which has been a major problem at the University of Nebraska football program for 20 years. And Auburn has this. That's plagued Auburn for decades.
San Diego State has it big time.
So they still think sometimes, people say every year, we're Nebraska and that's Minnesota. And I'm yelling at the radio, you knuckleheads, have you not looked at the record? Minnesota beats us like a drum and has for years. The days of being able to say we're Nebraska, that's over. We've got to start from scratch. And you boys better put on your big boy pants every time you step onto the field or you could lose because you're not that good.
Have they been good this century?
Yeah. We played in the national championship game in 2001. We got waxed, got our fannies waxed, as one coach said.
Wait, I used to watch football back then. Who was it, against USC, or who was that?
No, Miami.
I thought that was Ohio that played Miami.
No, 2001. So we were in the national championship game. And we were decent after that. And then they fired Frank Solich, stupidly. And then they hired Bill Callahan, stupidly, and that had mixed results.
I could have told you not to hire him.
Great offensive line coach, not a great head coach.
Decent offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think so. But very, very good offensive line coach. Would love to have him now coaching our offensive line. That'd be fantastic. And then we got Bo Pelini, and we were reasonably successful. We won 9 games every year, and then that wasn't good enough. And he was a problem child, and it's been downhill ever since. So we'll see if Matt Rule can get it turned around, but I wish we'd hired Cignetti, but we didn't. All right, we ready to go?
The Heidelcast.
All right, quiet on the set.
Camera speed. Sound production, take 1.
We have to be really quiet. Clark is making another Heidel video. I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing myself. It's a little weird. I mean, look, you've seen him. I've seen him. Who really wants to see him on video? But that's what they're doing. So I guess you'd better watch every Friday at heidelblog.net/HeidelVideo or on YouTube at Heidelcast.
Cut!
Uh-oh. I better get out of here before the assistant director finds me. One more thing. You can help make it happen by making the coffer clink or by sending a check to Heidelberg Reformation Association, 1637 East Valley Parkway, number 391, Escondido, California, 92027.
Roll sound. Rolling. Sound production, take 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Superfriends.
All right, here we go. Reach in here. Got it. Can't get it unfolded, though. Here we go. Dear Super Friends, this is from Elisha. And it says, what is the relationship between the, quote, historical theologian, close quote, and the offices of the church? It seems too much to expect every minister to possess professional historical skills. However, official teaching on doctrine must be under the auspices of the church. So, do they operate as a, quote, teacher of the word, close quote, and then in parenthesis, Presbyterian, or in the fourth office of doctor, in parenthesis, Reformed? Question mark. All right, well, there we go. That's an interesting question. What should we think of ministers with PhDs or advanced degrees of some kind, or even without, possibly, who function as public teachers in some sort, teaching in a college, a seminary, a university, or in some other place? How do we relate those things? Go, Harrison.
I actually think that you've taken the question a step further than what it's asking.
Okay.
Because it's actually asking about the relationship of, quote, historical theologian to the offices of the church. And you added a minister with a PhD in history or a minister who teaches. And I actually think that that's a step beyond. That is one of the answers to this question.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Because one of the things that troubles me in the world today, although there are many, one of them that troubles me.
Dogs in public stepping on your feet. Is that one of the things that troubles you?
Not on my feet when they jump on me, when they put their feet on me. Okay. Any animal any creature, honestly, a human being as well, putting their feet on me when I have never met them.
Wait, so you're saying that bothers you? It's hard to tell.
Yes. Yes, it bothers me.
I would call 911 if somebody came up and put their feet on me.
And people should teach their dogs not to do that to me too.
Oh.
And their cats and their whatevers.
Dogs and cats and otters and red pandas all know that I am a fair game. They are welcome to jump up on me and to receive due affection. I'm here for it. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah,
I'm just
whatever.
trying to. So where does this rank? That was my question on your hierarchy of peeves, pet peeves.
Right up at the top with all the rest of them.
I'm bothered by it mainly when I'm on social media, which is not terribly often. So
okay.
The thing that troubles me is people pretending that PhD equals church office.
Oh yeah,
and it does not.
Okay. No, that's right. Just because you have a PhD, that doesn't give you special office. It doesn't confer any ecclesiastical authority on you whatsoever.
Yeah, it does not position you to speak authoritatively to the church as if the church needs to heed your word. Because the church has not elected you to bear office. And I might even take that a step further. If you have failed your ecclesiastical exams, you should even more stop pontificating to the church online.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, the assumption that people make, and I've seen it, I know of a case where there was a brilliant philosopher who, for various reasons, lost his tenure-track job, and the denomination glommed onto him, and he had a little theological education, but he didn't have much. He went to seminary for a year, decided that it was a waste of time, and we ordained him anyway and placed him into ecclesiastical office, and it was a disaster. The assumption was, well, he has a PhD. I mean, he's good to go. And that's just, people don't understand what a PhD is. All it means is that you demonstrated to a school that you have the ability to concentrate on one thing for 3 to 5 years, and you are able to execute a professional bit of research on one very narrow topic, and you successfully completed that task. Now, that indicates that you have a certain degree of academic ability and intellectual ability, but it doesn't confer upon you omniscience. I mean, look, I earned a PhD, so come on, get real. I tell people that I'm a donkey on a treadmill, as Ursinus said. Where I'm from, you're basically not supposed to quit. And so I just didn't quit. I just kept plowing ahead till it was done.
Good job.
And they accepted it. That's what that means. And it means that you are supposed to know something about a fairly narrow issue, and then you can say there are concentric circles radiating out from that, whereby you know probably more than the average person, until you get farther away from the center of the circle. And then at that point, you don't know any more than anybody else. If you're a professional scholar, you get paid to do it, then you do learn over the years. I've learned a fair bit over the years. I also feel like I have forgotten a lot over the years. I'm thankful to have my books back. I feel better now. I can look things up if I can find things. But that's all that means.
If the church decides to confer office upon a man, whether he has done other things, but he's got a PhD, and they say, these meet the requirements and he's got the character and we want him in office, that's fine. I'm not challenging that PhD is a significant achievement and means that you have credentials. That is clearly true, and I'm content with that. But to speak as if a PhD functions in lieu of election to church office, I have a serious problem with that.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, absolutely. And by the way, if you see somebody on social media who has doctor or PhD in their handle, their name, whatever, that's a red flag, I think.
Shoot, I better take mine down.
Because either you're saying stuff of worth and use to people or you aren't. And the fact that you felt the need to advertise that you're a PhD tells me that you're not certain that the substance of what you're saying is useful to people.
I have no problem with people putting doctor or reverend or master or whatever their title is. double master, whatever it may be. But the one that gets me, and this is off topic, is the D-men guys calling themselves doctor publicly. That's the one that gets me. And I probably just made a lot of people mad. I don't know. But when you call yourself Dr. So-and-so and you have a D-men, I don't know.
As a matter of protocol, they're not supposed to use the degree that way. It's a professional degree. There's a whole class. Again, people, you might not know this, listener, but there are academic degrees and there are professional degrees. And those are two different classes of degrees. The kind of work you do to earn a professional doctorate, whether it's a PsyD, which is a doctor of psychology, or a D-Min, doctor of ministry. David Wells, in the first edition of No Place for Truth, complained about the demonization of the church.
That's funny.
And people were... I thought it was hilarious. People were very wound up about that, or they were. In fact, I made a comment at a dean's meeting way back when, in the late 90s, and a dean responded to the effect that a lot of people were very hurt by that comment. And I thought, you don't have a very good sense of humor, do you? Because I thought that was a hilarious remark. David's very clever. And there are other, I think there's a Biz D and other Ds like that. These are all professional degrees that are intended to sort of improve your professional performance, but they're not academic degrees. And I say that as one who's read a few D-Min projects. We used to have a D-Min. We were, in fact, one of the early schools that offered a D-Min, Doctor of Ministry. A few of them were, I actually would have been decent PhD projects or dissertations, but most of them were not, and the guys knew that. A lot of those guys wouldn't have qualified for a PhD program, and so they're just not the same thing. And I do worry about the fact that ministers feel like they need these degrees for credibility, and people have told me that. Why are you doing this? Why don't you just study on your own? And they say, well, I feel like, people will take me more seriously. And that, I think, is a serious problem. Because your authority comes from the Word of God. You're a minister of the Word of God. When I'm in the pulpit, I am not functioning as a PhD. I am not Dr. Clark. I am just Pastor Clark. That's it.
They need a higher view of the laying on of hands then, maybe.
Some people, I take them less seriously after they get a doctoral degree of any sort.
Well, I mean, that may be appropriate at times.
I like to call demons doctors and then see how they respond. And if they correct me and say, don't call me that, I respect them.
Yeah. Frankly, outside of the classroom, I don't think people should be calling me doctor. I mean, I don't even necessarily ask my students to do it. I just don't think they should call me Scott until they've graduated.
I've never called you Scott. I call you doctor.
Yes, I know. That's fine. Whatever, makes you comfortable. That's fine. But
and I call Dr. Perkins Harold. It's just what I call him.
These two things seem to run the opposite direction.
Well, it's almost like we were friends. We were friends before you went to medical school. So I think that's what it is. We were first friends.
Yeah.
Disrespect.
Well, that's there's this bizarre debate about whether physicians are doctors or PhDs are doctors, and the word doctor means teacher.
Yeah, I don't want my physician to teach me. I want him to heal me.
Well, I do.
I want him to fix me.
I want both. A good physician will teach me, like, what's going on? What should I do? How do I avoid this or whatever? I think rather than coming in, spending 30 seconds looking at me and writing a prescription, and then that may or may not work because they didn't bother to find out what was going on. Anyway.
So what is the difference? I mean, you're a more experienced Latinist than I am, and I have tried to work out at times, like, what is the difference between master and doctor? Because they both kind of mean teacher.
They're synonyms.
Yeah.
So a magister is a teacher.
Well, why do they? I mean, even in the previous periods of history, I mean, as far back as I know that we were doing these degrees, they were ranked.
Yeah.
So is it just, we just decided, or is there something in the words that...
All doctors are magisters, but not all magisters are doctors. How about that? You could be a magister, a master, without being a doctor, but you couldn't, at least in the Middle Ages, be a doctor without having first become a magister, a teacher. everyone who has an MA is a magister, right?
Right.
But the listener may not know that.
But not everyone who's a magister is a magistrate.
Well, that's true. Relatively few magisters are magistrates. That's true. I imagine, I haven't looked it up, but that our English word master is probably derived from magister, and the G just elided, slipped away. But so back to the question, how do these things relate? It's interesting because we have 3 historical theologians on this podcast.
If someone has a PhD in a historical discipline, that means that they are well-versed in history.
Or should be, yeah.
Well, yeah. It means they have been recognized as being well-versed in history. True or not, it means they have been recognized as that. And that is the extent of what it means on its own.
Yeah.
So they are free at invitation to instruct the church in Sunday school or a talk or something like that. And that's great. And unless they are also ordained to ecclesiastical office, PhD in a historical discipline does not mean anything more than they are supposed to be well-versed in history.
Yeah.
Now, it may inform and add layers of competency to being able to execute an ecclesiastical office. That is very true. I'm happy to accept that. But PhD does not equal church office. And I'm very concerned that we reclaim that. Church office is church office. And you have to be appointed to that and ordained into it to be able to execute it.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a PhD to be ordained into office. I mean, so just to state the obvious.
Yeah, that was the other direction that I was going to circle back and take as a distinct thing, and we should camp on that too.
Call or text now, 760-618-1563.
On pastors being historians, in my school, our goal is that our graduates would be pastor scholars. So it's true that we don't expect graduates ordinarily to become, specialists in anything other than the Bible. We graduate them because they are on their way to becoming specialists in the Bible. As ministers, that's the chief responsibility. Yet we do want them to be intelligent. We want them to be able to read and learn and grow. And the goal is that they would continue to read and learn and grow. And so that at the end of their ministry, they're more well-read, more intelligent, more competent, more learned, because that's part of their job as a shepherd. A pastor is a shepherd of the flock. So they may not be writing academically or writing even popularly, but they should be growing and learning. And then there was this other business about which traditions or denominations do what. And so I did a little looking. I believe, and you can correct me, Master Perkins, Dr. Perkins,
Apparently
about
both.
the OPC. Yes.
According
Master P.
Yeah. When I was a boy, I used to get mailed to Master Scott Clark.
That was the best.
That was the way that...
when you're a kid and Zoo News gets sent out and it says Master.
Yeah, minor children were addressed. I got letters like that from my grandmother, I believe, and my great-grandmother. Anyway, yeah. So in the OPC, they do have a fourth office, right? Teacher in the church.
May I think about the pastor historian category before we move on to this?
Okay, please. Yeah, go ahead. All right.
Because I do think one of the things that I do see at times is guys who think they know everything about history, or at least claim they know, and they may well know a lot about history. So it may be true at times that they are very competent, but criticizing pastors for not knowing as much history as they do. And I do want to say, although, yes, we want our pastors to be historically informed, I do not think it is the obligation of every pastor to be a technical expert in any discipline, history included.
Yeah, I agree. That's right.
Informed, learning, but technical expert is not part of the qualification.
And we don't need a denomination or denominations full of wannabe seminary profs. We need ministers who are tending to their flocks. Scott, you're not on social media, and right, Dr. Perkins, you are on social media, and those are individual choices, and I'm not the lord of anyone's conscience.
My presence there is more and more reluctant.
Yeah, well, that's understandable.
And my presence there is less and less likely.
Well, that's wise. I'm there because I have to do stuff for the HRA, and I'm trying to limit what I do, to that stuff. I'm not always succeeding, but I'm trying to get on and off, a couple of times a day is what is my goal. But at any rate, I am worried a little bit about guys who, where we have sort of wannabe seminary profs rather than people who are visiting their flock, going to the hospital, catechizing the youth and other people, educating their ruling elders, obviously preaching the word of God twice every Lord's Day, preaching the gospel twice every Lord's Day, administering the holy sacraments, aiding the ruling elders in matters of discipline, those kinds of things, doing the work of an evangelist. Those are the principal callings of the minister of the word of God, right? And if he can become an expert in a field, take a THM, which is really the function of a THM, is to become an expert in a particular field to be of aid to the church. And if someone goes on and gets a PhD and gains further expertise, part of which it should mean becoming more proficient in teaching, one hopes, that's great too, but not at the expense of the ministry.
So the way that maybe that's even helpful to think about, I would think of the THM as indicating, or a research master's of any sort. So that would, I think, include an MAHT.
Yeah.
I think of those degrees as indicating mastery of the field as it stands. And then a PhD is supposed to indicate
a contribution,
the ability to make an original contribution.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That's how I distinguish those.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, we don't, in our Master of Historical Theology program at my school, we don't ask students necessarily, although I think it's happened sometimes, to make a contribution to the field. I mean, sometimes it happens.
Yeah, I'm not saying it cannot include that. I'm just saying what it's supposed to indicate.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which some people holding degrees exceed expectations, but the expectation of a research master's is to indicate mastery of the field as it stands, and then the PhD goes beyond that to indicate contribution to the field.
Yeah, I think, amen. I think that's right. So am I right about the OPC that they have the office of doctor? What is the status of that?
I want to nuance that. So we have the category of teacher.
Yeah.
And my understanding is not that this is a separate office, but that this is a way to call someone to execute the office of minister in a particular way.
Okay.
So the BCO, which I have here in front of me. So this is Form of Government, Chapter 9, for those who are ready to geek out on this.
I love that the abbreviation is FOG. I think that always makes me chuckle.
Well, good. Yeah.
Because the guidance is coming from fog, which is not the usual source of guidance.
But maybe it's into the fog to clarify.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
It will dissipate the fog. A teacher is a minister of the word who has received particular gifts from Christ for expounding the scripture, teaching sound doctrine, and convincing gainsayers, and is called to this ministry. Following up, a minister, so I mean here, right, I think that confirms a minister may serve a local congregation as a teacher if there is at least one other minister serving as pastor. The teacher may also give instruction in a theological seminary, or teach the word in a school, college, or university, or discharge this ministry in some other specific way, such as writing or editing in the field of Christian religious education. He shall take pastoral oversight of those committed to his charge as teacher, and be diligent in sowing the seed of the word and gathering the harvest as one who watches for souls. So my understanding is this is one way of discharging the office of minister. Yeah. That's how I understand. So I would not think it, I could be wrong because, so chapter 6 is about the office of minister. And then we have 3 different ways to execute that office: evangelist, pastor, and teacher. That's how I have understood that, is that there is the office of minister of the word or teaching elder. form of government, Chapter 6, Paragraph 2. And there are 3 different ways to execute that office of minister of the word in the OPC. That's how I understand it. Happy to be corrected.
No, that's helpful. So this is interesting because I did look at the URC church order, URCNA, and we only list 3 offices, right? Minister, elder, and deacon. And we don't even discuss that I could find right away seminary professors. The CRC church order only lists 3 offices. It does discuss ministers who are called to teach at seminaries, so basically the same in that regard as the OPC. And then I was going to ask Scott, what about the PCA, BCO? Does it list a 4th office, or is it ministers who teach in seminaries? Or does it even address it? I assume it addresses it.
There is another office, but it's part of, I believe it's related to teaching elder. I could be wrong. I'm going to pull it up right now, but it's evangelist. And it's somebody who's sent out to do a mission work.
We have that too. We have evangelist, pastor, and
yeah. So I think because we're 2.5 office, I think we would call a pastor anyone who's an elder, essentially. And then of those elders, you can have teaching elder, you can have an evangelist.
But you don't have a separate office for seminary professor?
Nope.
So you have teaching elders?
We have teaching elders, and that teaching elder could be called to be a seminary professor.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
I remember it happening. But
okay.
Am I sure it's legal? No. Am I sure it's in the BCO? No. But I mean, when you're called, you have a particular thing that you're called to do.
I am riffing.
So am I.
So just to be clear, but my understanding was that this is why most of the PCA seminary profs are like associate pastors at a local church, is because their call that grounds their ordination is at that local church as a pastor, and it just so happens they're a seminary prof.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying.
Well, that's what we do.
They're a teaching elder.
So I don't think this is what you were saying, because in the OPC, you can be called with the stated purpose of teaching the word as a seminary professor. But in the PCA, I don't think you can be called to be ordained to teach as a seminary professor. You're ordained as an associate pastor, and you happen to be a seminary professor.
Okay. So in the PCA, if we're understanding the PCA Book of Church Order correctly,
and I may not be,
there are pastors who are seminary professors, but in the OPC, there are seminary professors who are not necessarily pastors of local churches in any way. That they're sent there by the presbytery. So functionally, even though they are ministers, they really are, in a sense, functionally, not nominally, a distinct office. Because I have sort of noticed, working with guys from the OPC, that they seem to function somewhat differently within the OP. The guys who don't have calls to local churches who are seminary professors. They are ministers, to be sure, but they're not ministers of any particular local congregation. Whereas in the URCs, for example, I have a call from the Escondido United Reformed Church to teach at the seminary.
Yeah, so I think that that's right. So I think in the URC, well, you've just said in the URC, and I think like in the URC, the PCA, you need a call in the local church.
But in the OP, not necessarily.
Whereas in the OPC, the presbytery can ordain you to execute the office of minister of the word pastorally in an educational context. And that's why it says your pastoral duty is to your students.
Yeah. That's interesting. And functionally, that's where I have been exercising my ministry for the most part, not entirely, obviously, but for the most part, for the last 29 years is at the seminary.
This is the Heidelcast.
I think that it's fully reasonable that the local church could call you to do that.
Yeah.
If the local church says, this is the way we want you to execute your office, they can call you to do it in that way.
That's what I was saying.
But they can, but that doesn't mean they have.
It's chapter 8, paragraph 4 of the BCO.
Okay.
It says, as the Lord has given different gifts to men and has committed to some special gifts and callings, the church is authorized to call and appoint some to labor as teaching elders in such works as may be needful to the church. So that would fall under that category.
And can the presbytery do that, or does a local church have to be behind that call?
It sounds like a local church, but
yeah, I think that may be one of the differences.
It also says the church. So
yeah. Okay.
The presbytery, technically, right? I don't know where they get paid from.
So, listener, just so you know, depending on where you are, what your ecclesiastical setting is, in American Presbyterian circles, and maybe more broadly than that, I don't know. I wouldn't presume to say, but ministers in Presbyterian churches are members of their presbytery. And in my world, in the Dutch Reformed world, ministers are members of their local churches. We have no membership in a classis. We meet as a classis, and ministers and elders, ruling elders, are delegated to classis to make decisions on behalf of the broader churches or the regional churches. But the classis doesn't exist when we're not meeting. But for American Presbyterians, the presbytery is an ongoing thing. It just is a thing. And you have persisting officers who continue to function in between meetings. You administer Holy Communion at presbytery. At least sometimes that happens. We would never, for example.
I mean, we have a clerk. You guys don't have a clerk for classes?
We do.
Well, then.
Yes, it's true. He functions, but the classis doesn't exist. There is no classis in between meetings. It only exists when it meets. We don't hold worship services. Somebody may have devotions. We may listen to a trial sermon, but it's not a church. When classis meets and they're having devotions, that's not a church service. The classis is not a church or not the church. The church, strictly speaking, is the local congregation. So a classis couldn't send a minister to a church. Sometimes I've heard Presbyterians say, well, I'm delegated by my classis to this congregation. And so in a Presbyterian setting, a minister may not be a member of that local congregation. He's a member of Presbytery, delegated to the local congregation and called to it. So sent and called. Anyway, so there's just different ways of thinking about these things, speaking about these things, interesting nuances. We would never, for example, at a classis, and I'm not criticizing anyone, we would never administer Holy Communion or baptize anyone. It's interesting, though. Presbyteries administer communion, but they don't baptize. And that just occurs to me. I'm not aware of a presbytery ever baptizing
Probably
anyone.
don't need to baptize. Most of the guys there have already been baptized.
Yeah,
real quick.
Well, yeah, presumably, yes.
Yeah, hopefully, real quick. Chapter 20, paragraph 1. Before a candidate or licentiate can be ordained to the office of the ministry, he must receive a call to a definite work. That definite work is not specified. And then it says, ordinarily, the call must come from a church, a presbytery, or the general assembly of the denomination. If it comes from another source, the presbytery shall make a record of why.
So you could potentially have a call from a presbytery to teach at a seminary and not necessarily.
Or a session.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah. Well, the session, I have thought that is the case. Whether they do it or not, I have thought that they could. And so this is actually how my first ordination was handled. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say first. When I was ordained in the PCA.
I was going to say, have you been reordained? I didn't.
No, I've just transferred.
Okay.
Double ordained.
Yeah, transferred out of the PCA into the OPC.
You entered the portal.
Yeah.
You got a better deal from the
That's why
Irish.
he's making billions now.
I had a call from, I don't even know that what was the language that you had there, Scott?
It was English, I believe.
What was the wording?
Oh. The one I just read or previously?
I don't even know if I care anymore. The one that you just read. About the definite work. A call to a definite work?
Yeah, I'm going back up to it.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay, so that was the phrasing that I was after, is call to a definite work.
From a church, presbytery, or general assembly.
Yeah, so the presbytery called me to do the definite work that was in a job description put in front of me by a congregation overseas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's kind of, lines are our friends, and keep things clearer, even if there are lots of lines. I mean, that has extra lines on it, but the definite work was described by a congregation overseas, but the presbytery called me to do it.
Yeah.
And ordained me to do it.
Before we get too deep into this discussion, I thought it might be helpful to start out with something foundational. And that would be from
Jesus Christ, the cornerstone.
Do you get it? Because we already been talking about it for an hour. When Paul in Ephesians 4 writes about the gifts of the church, he gave the apostles.
I think it's the gifts to the church.
Well,
What's that?
That's right.
I think it's Jesus Christ's gifts to the church.
Oh, okay.
Carry on.
To the church, yes. He gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, and teachers to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for building up the body of Christ, on and on. There's 5 offices named there. 3 would still be, for us today, the evangelists, shepherds, and teachers. So it seems to separate shepherd or pastor from teacher or doctor. But I looked it up, and didaskalos, one of the meanings could be doctor or master. So that really throws a wrench into the whole problem there, doesn't it?
So, we should discuss Ephesians 4 sometime. We probably can't do it today, so we should probably wrap this up. But that would be an interesting discussion because there's been a lot of mischief done, in my view, on Ephesians 4. One of the great questions is whether it's the ministers who do these things or whether the ministers equip the people to do these things. And then you get the every member ministry scheme and all the stuff that comes from that, out of that reading of Ephesians 4, which, in my view, is unlikely. Anyway, we'll come back to that. We'll circle back. How about that?
I cannot wait.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow for more from the Heidelcast, brought to you by HeidelbergReformationAssociation.org. Don't forget, when the coin in the coffer clinks, the cost of bandwidth shrinks. Copyright Heidelberg Reformation Association. All rights reserved. This is a Heidel Media production.
The best podcast